labhríonn mé ach I béir le bháin ag na hócádaí seo. Ach mar gheall ar an dúbhlant atá idir glúisteach na poblacha agus an Gaeilge tá chun an nós sin a bhriсе nuamh. Cé bliain tar éis an éirí amach agus cogadh na saoirse, tá an Gaeilge email bás a ríist. Ní féidir linn an bhillean a chur ar na Sasnig faoi sin. Tá sé amhlaigh mar gheall gur hep ar an rialtas is ar an pobal é a athrú. Ach an orid le aon tú na tíre bí an tagart fuiblí de sláánú na Gaeilge ach is beag a hárlaíonn nó a dhéanamid faoi. Batha teanga í a labhairt agus matámí de riara faoi mac Píris, mac Donacha, cheant agus iad a landsiad a chalóra. Cahamíd an teanga álam is a úsáid agus ceartan na Gaeilge cosint an so agus a túisceart comá. Is Ibert an bheogaí sin I gcomparáid leis an Ibert a rinne siad ar nársson I ri nééig sééig cogan na saoirse agus cogan na garads. My generation, who grew up in this part of Ireland, do not know real oppression or military occupation. The reason why we do not know these things is because our forefathers did. And during the War of Independence, people like Liam Lynch, who was then commander of the I.R.A's North Cork Brigade, made a stand, risking their lives so that we might know liberty. In 1922, when that movement split and some of his former comrades were prepared to abandon their countrymen and women in the north to continued oppression and abandon their commitment to establishing a republic, Liam Lynch stood firm and continued that struggle as the I.R.A. Chief of Staff during the Civil War until he fell in battle here 95 years ago. As a historian, there is little I can tell you about Liam Lynch that you local people do not already know or that has not already been written about by my fellow historians Florrie O'Donoghue, the late Florrie O'Donoghue, and Meadar Ryan in their excellent biographies of Liam Lynch, No Other Law and The Real Chief. So I am not going to speak about the man himself today so much as about the principles that he and his comrades fought for. Their achievements, their unity, sense of purpose and indomitable spirit forms a proud part of our heritage that deserve not only to be commemorated but celebrated. Their legacy belongs not just to us in Ireland but to the free men and women of the whole world, because their struggle set an example for others in India, in Palestine, in Kenya and South Africa and further afield who took up arms against injustice and tyranny. The blow for freedom that was struck in Ireland a century ago is something that we should all rightly be proud of, and we should not apologise for it when confronted by the small but influential clique trapped in a post-colonial mindset who tell us that as well as commemorating those who fought for our freedom, that we should also honour the poor British soldiers who died fighting to deny the Irish people their rights. As a historian, I have travelled all over Britain, from Carnarvon to Edinburgh, from Chester to Oxford to London, researching the role of the British in Ireland during the War of Independence. And I have not seen a single war memorial there which honours British soldiers killed fighting in Ireland. So if the British don't even honour these men, why should the Irish be expected to do so? There can be no ambiguity on this matter. The imperialism, the exploitation, the greed, the prejudice, the racism and sectarianism that the British Empire was built on were wrong. These things were wrong 100 years ago, they are wrong today, and they will always, always be wrong. And no amount of academic revisionism or distortion by political and media elites can change that fact. When the British government made peaceful change in Ireland impossible, violent revolution became inevitable. And what rights we enjoy here today were not bestowed on us by a benign monarch. They were not granted in the Speaker's chamber of the House of Commons, nor won on the battlefield of Europe. The struggle for the people's rights happened in the GPO, in the Stonebreakers Yard at Kilmainham, at Solahead Beg, Brixton Prison, Kilmichael, Drumkeen, Crossbarry, and later against the walls of Beggars Bush Barracks and Mountjoy Prison, where Childers, Mellows and others died, and here, of course, where Liam Lynch died or fell fighting for the same cause. Through the long and pitiful history of Ireland and its Republican struggle, we have been encouraged always to remember the martyrs, to focus on the heroic deaths of the men and women who died for Irish freedom. But I say it is even more important to remember the ideas and the ideals that these martyrs died for than the martyrs themselves. Because people can fail, they can be caught and killed and forgotten. But worthwhile ideas will always endure and find new life. You cannot put an idea in a prison cell. You cannot put a rope around the neck of an idea, and you cannot line up ideas against barrack walls and shoot them. For over 200 years, the principles of Irish republicanism have endured because they are based on the reality that the people of Ireland alone have a right to decide their own destiny, and that no one who calls this island home is superior to any other because of their birth, class or creed. And if we are to call ourselves Republicans, then we must be as familiar with the words, content and ideas of Robert Emmet's 1803 proclamation, the Fenian Proclamation of 1867, the 1916 Proclamation of the Irish Republic, and the Declaration of Independence and Democratic Programme of the First Dáil Éireann in 1919. We must be as familiar with these things as we are with the deeds and the deaths of those who fought for the ideals they contained. Because Irish republicanism has always been more than about just securing independence for all 32 counties of Ireland. Irish republicanism is something far greater than Fort Greenfield nationalism or jingoistic patriotism. In a republic worthy of the name, tens of thousands of our fellow citizens would not be homeless, would not live in fear of eviction, and no family would call a hotel room home. In a true republic, men and women would share power equally, not because of imposed gendered quotas, but because that is what real equality demands. In a true republic, workers' rights would be respected and they would be paid a living wage. In a true republic, there would be full separation of church and state. The children of the nation would all be cherished equally, and no child would be denied access to education because of their parents' faith or lack of faith. And in a real republic, freedom of speech would not be stifled by a blasphemy law. In a real republic, we would not outsource cervical cancer screening, condemning dozens of women to die because our politicians thought it would be a good way of saving money. In a real republic, no citizen would be considered above the law because of wealth or privilege. In a real republic, the qualifications for Minister for the Gaeltacht would not be a complete reluctance to speak the Irish language and an enthusiasm for imposing cuts on vital services in Gaeltacht areas. In a real republic, we would cherish physical manifestations of our revolutionary history like Moore Street instead of bulldozing them to build shopping centres. And in a real republic, we would acknowledge the sacrifices and ideals of those who struggled for our freedom by teaching our country's history instead of removing history as a core subject from the secondary school syllabus. We do not know what the future holds, and if some new campaign in the north, border, a Brexit poll, demographic change, or some other unforeseen circumstances may end partition. But if Irish unification is achieved without real social and political change, then we will not have won the Republic. All we will have gotten is a 32-county free state. That is not what Liam Lynch and his comrades struggled, fought and died for. As Liam Lynch himself said, we have sworn for a republic, we can live by no other law. Monuments like the one we stand before here today, honouring Liam Lynch, are a fine way of keeping his memory alive. But no finer monument could be built to him and his comrades than the republic for which they fought and died. So Anisha Gove, Guramila Mahagav, thank you.